As mentioned before, when looking to increase productivity, we need to consider the most frequent tasks, data selection being in the top ones. We need to learn how to be efficient in selecting big chunks of data so that we can manipulate it in seconds. By the end of this lesson, we aim for you to confidently and effortlessly make selections inside an Excel worksheet, regardless of the low or high number of rows and columns. So how do we select data? One trick that not many people know is using F8. So if you hit F8 on your keyboard, you see in the status bar the text extend selection. So now we can use the arrows to select more cells. So down arrow, I'm selecting more cells. Or right arrow, I'm selecting more cells. And if I press the left arrow, I'm starting to deselect. And the up arrow, the same. So this is the thing. I just press escape to exit this mode. Now the majority of people will do this by using shift. So if you hold shift and the arrows, you can as well select more cells. So shift and the down arrow, shift and the right arrow. So I'm holding shift and then tapping the down arrow, down arrow, down arrow. Very important, you tap inside the selection to deselect some of the columns and rows. So here I'm going back, hitting with shift and the left arrow, I'm going back to one cell. That's fine so far, but we are in the same situation when we have big data and we want to move fast to the data edge. So you remember for navigation we used control and the arrows. And now if we add shift, so control shift and hit the down arrow, you select from the current cell to the data edge. Control shift and the right arrow, you select as well on the right. So this is something that you want to take your time with and practice a lot because it's very useful and very used as well. So control shift down arrow, control shift right arrow, you see we are selecting to the data edge. And if we continue, control shift right arrow, control shift right arrow, and so on. Now we selected all the columns. All right, let's go back. So try this one more time so we have as well the practice. Let's go to selecting the current row. So how do you select using a shortcut? With shift and space. So now if you hold shift, the trick is with the down arrow you can select more rows, or if you want to select with the up arrow you select the ones from above. Now for the column you use control and space this time. We just selected the current column, and with shift and the arrows we can select more columns to the right in this case, or to the left if we start from B, for example, control space and shift and left arrow, I'm selecting as way A. So this is very useful, especially at the later stage you will see the shortcuts how to insert or delete rows and columns. So you want to use this together, shift and space, select more, and then maybe add some rows for rows using a shortcut. This process is very efficient. So now how do we select the current region and then the entire worksheet? With Control and A, we select the current region. Again, we select the entire worksheet. So here, for example, let's navigate Control A, the same. First the region and then the worksheet. All right, from the current cell to A1, so remember if I go Control Home, I'm always going to A1, but if I tap Control Shift and Home, then I'm selecting from the current cell to A1. That works for multiple columns. So for example, if I start in column D, Control Shift and Home will select from this cell to A1. Finally, on the opposite side, to select from the current cell to the last active cell, Control Shift and End.